Thanks again for making time today. Like I mentioned, the first interview will be a little bit more general about I'll ask questions about like your artistic background and some of your trajectory as an artist. And then
hmm
in the next interview, we'll get into more detail and talk about Buellfest specifically. So for the first question, it's a little bit general, so answer however you like. But tell me about yourself.
Um, I would say about myself that I'm a producer, and I music means a lot to me in the terms of like emotionally and the connections I have with it. It means a lot to me, and I put a lot of my time into finding new music and getting better at producing.
And when did you start producing?
Um, I'd say around 2020 during that quarantine era.
What originally got you into it? Like, how did you get started?
Um, well, I was always like, even before that, I would always go on like websites and just like have fun just making stuff. But I think the real push was seeing like my friends also becoming producers, and I thought that was really cool. And I wanted to be like that.
So, tell me about that time a little bit when your friends were becoming producers. Like, where were these friends that you knew like IRL? Were they friends online? And like, yeah, just a little more about that.
Oh yeah, they were mostly friends online. They started putting their stuff up on SoundCloud, and I thought it was really good, and it really inspired me. So one day I hopped on call with one of them, and they told me how to completely use FL Studio, and from there I just kind of started learning myself.
So after you started learning, did you like share stuff on SoundCloud too, or where did you like first start putting your music out there in the world?
Um, Probably SoundCloud. Yeah. Well, mostly just like with that friend. Just I didn't want to release anything too early because then it would just be bad, and I don't want to look back at it. Um, but yeah, I started releasing stuff on SoundCloud, and then in like 2022, I like dropped like a first little album thing before I went by Laura97 for the real fans.
Is your first album still public?
Yeah, you can find it on Bandcamp.
And is it under Sans Pikachu?
Yeah,
Or okay, cool. So how did it feel when you released your first album? Like, yeah.
it was like a little scary, I would say. Even though like I knew a lot of people weren't gonna listen to it, it was still like I'm putting this thing that I put time into out into the world, and like just the people who do listen to it, I'm scared of like the criticism and stuff. But the criticism I did end up getting was really helpful, and it wasn't like hurtful. And I think without it, if I think that album was really important for me to release because without it, I would have never got the criticism and learned how to grow into what I do now.
Hmm. What were some of the things that people said that like you incorporated into your process?
Definitely like better structures and making the songs feel more like in depth, like having like making them not boring basically. But basically just by having a better structure, and then I spent more time with the technical side like mixing and things.
Okay. Um, how would you say that your sound has changed from when you first started doing stuff until now?
It's changed a lot. Like before I was doing mostly like hip hop beats, but then I moved into fusing it with like drum and bass. So I have like a hip hop beat sound, but drowned out by like amen breaks and stuff like that. My go amen break.
Oh, actually, that reminds me of another question that I was going to ask. So, I looked a little bit like through your Twitter and stuff, and and I was curious, like, let's see. So you talk a lot about music, and I think there's like certain artists or certain like bands um that you have followed really closely. And
Hmm.
I'm curious about like, yeah, just um I'm trying to think of how to like make this make sense. Well, okay, so first we'll start with Brockhampton. Like tell me about
Yeah.
what they mean to you and like how they've influenced you as an artist. Yeah.
Brockhampton might honestly be the most important thing to happen to me. um, when they first dropped Saturation in 2017, that was the first album I ever listened to front to back. And then I was following them really closely. I actually only made my Twitter account to follow them and like see what they're doing because they were releasing albums so fast. And seeing how they acted and like watching the Saturation documentary and seeing how they were just like, we're just gonna do it and we're gonna do what we like and just put it out no matter what, that helped me get like courage to build up and start and actually publish stuff.
Hmm. And were you like, I'm not really in the Brockhampton side of the internet. Were you pretty
Broke my
were
heart.
you do you feel like again, I'm not really sure how to ask this question. Hmm, like starting your Twitter because of them and sort of like posting a lot about them, being really into them. Like, did you start interacting with a lot of people who had similar interests through that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially through the Brockhampton Discord is where I met a lot of my first online friends. It really shaped who I became, and it's like where I met the person who taught me FL Studio. So it was really important for me.
Cool. Were a lot of people in that server also producers, or did you just like happen to find each other?
Um, I Yeah, I would say that there's probably a good chunk of producers in there, but yeah.
Are you still active in the server?
Not as much as I used to be. I mean, I used to be really active on there, so I think I just kind of oversaturated it. um, but no, it's still cool. Like I can still pop in there every once in a while, and people remember me. So,
Yeah, for sure. Prior to your friend teaching you how to use FL Studio, were you involved in music in any other kind of way, or was that your first time really like, um, yeah, like making music?
um, I mean, it was my first time really taking it seriously. There was like, I would go on like random websites that would help you that would help you that would allow you to like just click stuff in and make noises, and I would
Oh yeah,
go
you
on there a
mentioned
lot.
that.
Yeah.
What, which websites?
um
If you don't remember, that's cool. I was just
I know
curious.
I would just go on
Yeah,
Google,
yeah.
look up drum machine pad.
Nice. So other than Brockhampton, are there other yeah, artists or that have influenced you or like impacted your journey as an artist?
I'd say JPEG Mafia for sure. I'm
Yeah.
really inspired by his way of producing and his also like attitude of like not really caring about if people like it because he's making it for himself. So definitely
Hmm.
JPEG Mafia. Um, Mr. Bungle is a deep cut. It's a band back in the 80s. They were also just kind of like doing stuff for them and then putting it
Hmm.
out, and they have like really weird music, but it just hit the right audience, so it really caught on, and it hit me because it was like these people are really just doing whatever they want, especially at a time when it's harder to become a musician like that. And I'd say another one, just like a last one, Amy Real. They are in they're actually the person that taught me how to use FL Studio, and so I guess I got kind of got a shout them out here. Um, but no, I did kind of start off making music, trying to like make some of the stuff they made, and then learn how to do it differently.
So what does because I a few times I've noticed you've brought up this idea of not caring about what people think of music, both with JPEG Mafia and Mr. Bungle. And then you mentioned when you were talking about your first album how like it was
Hmm.
a challenge for you to put yourself out there in that way. So I'm curious, like, what does it mean for you to like you know not care what people think, like do your own thing? Is that something that you try to embody in your music as well, or yeah, what's your like
Yeah,
relationship to that idea?
yeah, for sure. I feel like as long as you're having fun making it, then there's like that's the way to make music. Like there's no wrong way to make music. So as long as you're having fun and then you put it out there and nobody listens to it or like people don't like it, then it doesn't really matter because at least you had fun making it, you know?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Hmm.
Oh, this isn't a question in my notes, but I just thought of it, so I might as well ask. Um, so I would be curious to hear how has what role has Twitter played in like how you've met other artists, how you've developed as an artist, how you've just like interacted with music in general? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Twitter's been super helpful. I do find a lot of artists like that because especially like being in the music community on Twitter, there's so many like producers and stuff, and just being able to like reply to their posts and then we get kind of like a relationship going on, and then later on like we can collab and stuff, and then yeah, it's really cool to be able to do that and have connections like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like I feel like a lot of people feel similarly for sure.
Hmm.
Mhm. Have you been in very many URL fests? Or I guess like maybe a better question is, um, how do you typically like share your music? I know you've mentioned Bandcamp, maybe like starting out on SoundCloud. I know you're in Buellfest. But yeah, so like how do you typically share your music?
Buellfest was my first URL fest. I'm mostly promoting on Twitter, Instagram, especially on like Discord, but only when there's like self promo channels. I'm not one of those people that are just spamming the general chat with their Bandcamp link. Okay. um, no self promo, and especially when I'm in servers that are also with a lot of producers. I like
Mhm.
to just be like I just like to be friendly in the server, and then people want to be friends and stuff, and I can share my music with them, and then they can give me feedback like that.
Mhm. Are you in a lot of servers with other producers?
Yeah, for sure. I'm in a lot of servers related to specific artists. So like I'm in the underscore server,
Mhm.
Brockhampton server, obviously. I'm in the Webcage server. This is a hyperpop group.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm also in a servers for like just other genres like Linkin Park and Corn. And maybe I'm not making that exact genre right now, but when I do, wink wink, then it would be nice to have connections.
Yeah. When you think about your music, how do you think about genre?
um I see it as like a way to, well, I don't really think about genre that much, but I do like the idea of blending genres together. And so like hip hop and drum and bass I tried to blend together, and
Mhm.
then yeah, stuff like that, especially with hex music, using vocals from different genres and trying to fit it in with a new genre is really fun.
Yeah, and I think some of the artists that you've mentioned, I know, like do similar things. I mean, I feel like
Hmm.
underscores, like there's a lot of, like
Yeah.
genre mixing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm basically underscores.
Yeah, the next underscores, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. So, how did you first hear about Buellfest?
Um, one of my friends sent it to me. Like someone I know online, they sent it to me and they said that they think I would work well in here. And I checked it out and I didn't really like get it at first. Like, well,
Mhm.
I don't know. No, I did get it. I lied. I do. I did. I knew everything. And so yeah, they said that they think I would work good here. And I never like made a set before. So no, that's a lie again. I have made a set before, but not like for real. Like I don't, never mind. I never made a set before, and so this, so this was my first time like really doing something like that. But I went into it with like the same mindset of like how I would make a normal album, and I think that really helped.
And what mindset is that?
Um, just like focusing on one song and then not working on another song until that song is like basically finished, as in like maybe the mixing isn't done but it's finished up to that point.
Okay, for sure. If you okay, tell me if you don't want to answer this, but I am curious about how you've made a set before, but not for real.
Okay, and like I don't even know, maybe like 2019, no 2020, maybe somewhere in that
Mhm.
time period. I was in this server made by some people in the Brockhampton server, and it was like a DJ set server, but I had no idea what I was doing. So they were just like really bad sets, and I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. Those are not a part of me.
I mean, like everyone's got to learn, right? I understand, but no need to feel ashamed. Yeah. So it took you. So did it take you? Like because so that was you said like 2020-ish, and then I know that you said you
Hmm.
released your first album in 2022. Was that sort of the time like were those 2 years the years when you were like trying to figure out how to do it well enough to where you felt like you could release it or
Yeah.
yeah.
It just I made like I kind of just like made something every day in that 2 year span. I just made something every day, and like I didn't like it most of the time, but I felt like even then I was still learning something just by doing it again and again, and like figuring out, okay, wait, I didn't like this last time, so let me try it like this time. But I still feel like I don't know. Well, now looking back at it, I kind of wish I wish I would have waited to release that album because I don't think it's as good. But also like I said before, I think it's important that I did release that album.
And when you were making stuff every single day like during that time, or I guess in general, like is your process consistent like when you sit down to make something? Like do you have like a yeah, like how does it typically go for you? Like where do you find inspiration? And then like yeah.
Um, I usually well when I was doing stuff every day, I was like I always started a different way. I never wanted to start the same way. So maybe like I'd start with the drums, but then I'd start with like a specific drum, like the hi hats or something. But inspiration kind of comes randomly to me, and I wish it didn't because I feel like the best things are when I have inspiration, but I don't know how to really like hone in on it and like really get inspiration. But sometimes I'll just have like a drum loop in my head and I really like it, and then I put it down, and then I start like evolving the song around that.
Cool. And at our next interview, when we talk about Buellfest, the set
Hmm.
specifically, I'll definitely have a lot of like questions about your process and whatnot. I think
Yeah.
some of that stuff is easier to get into, like when we have something kind of in front of us that we're talking
Yeah.
about, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm so we talked a little bit about artists that have inspired you, and like people who've helped you learn, places that you've like gone to learn. I am curious if like other media that you're into influences you as an artist at all. I know that like I don't I think I'm not sure which because I've been listening to your stuff and I don't remember where it is, but I know there's some like Five Nights at Freddy's references and like like there's some
Yeah.
like references to stuff. So yeah,
Hmm.
how does media influence your artistry?
Um. So for these first two things that I've done, my first album under Laura97 and the Breel Fest, the song titles are all reminiscence of things that I've seen as a kid or like stuff like that. So definitely like film and TV shows. I know I have that one song on Memory 97 called Amy Real Dies and Doesn't Come Back. That's a Smiling Friends reference. Goat
Got it.
show for goat people.
I'll have to check it out. I actually am not familiar.
With Smiling Friends?
Hmm.
Yeah, put it on your list.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Yeah, I also I listened to the Woke Mind interview and I they asked I don't be embarrassed. They asked about oh, it was such a good question and I don't remember what it was. Oh, I think it was like what's the best Phineas and Ferb song maybe? And
Yeah.
and yeah, and I remember like you were like, "Oh yeah, I like watched this episode over and over to like listen to the song." Like do you feel like there
Yeah.
was often music and media that would kind of stand out to you like that?
Yeah, for sure. Especially like video game OSTs. Like
Mm,
that for sure. Like Undertale OST,
yeah.
GOAT.
Yeah.
Um, but there's some like film soundtracks that are really nice that I just go on Spotify and listen to the soundtrack, like Whiplash, really good
Mm,
soundtrack, stuff like that.
yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I don't know if this is a question that you may or may not have an answer to, and that is completely okay. But how has learning to produce and sort of like like your experience as an artist releasing stuff and getting feedback and like cultivating your artistic style, all of that, how has it influenced how you see yourself or like and or how you express yourself?
Um, I think it's made me a lot more confident because, especially after releasing Memory 97, and people really liked it, and it made me like a lot more confident. Like, okay, like I can actually do music now. Like,
Yeah.
people like it, and I have fun making it, and that makes me really happy. And yeah, it makes me a lot more confident like that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's cool that it had like a positive reception.
Hmm.
What is there a part of Memory 97 or I guess like maybe I'll be more general out of the stuff that you've released, um is there something that you're like most proud of or is there like yeah, is there something that like stands out to you in that way?
I have two songs that really do stick out of me. Three songs.
Mhm.
Um, the final track of Memory 97, Peace, I feel like is really good in terms of production. The second half I really love. And then I have I named this one JPEG, but it turned into a PNG. Good title.
I love
Um,
that.
it's it's definitely like my best sample work. I sampled like so Audacity has this thing where if you put in like an exe or something, it will like make a song file out of like the data. And I
Mhm.
saw something on YouTube where someone did that with MS Paint, and it just made like this really weird sounds. And I found a way to sample it, and I
Ooh,
thought
that's
that was really
cool.
cool. And then the Von Dutch remix off the Beelfest set, I really like. That's like just my favorite thing I've made ever,
Yeah.
ever.
I love that. I actually like specifically remember that. I love that. Yeah. What about the Von Dutch remix though? Like, what about it makes it, stand out like that?
I think just like the mixing, the drums, um, just the way it all feels like it just feels like it never stays the same for too long. Like something's always changing, and that's what I really
Mm.
like in certain types of music. How it's always changing,
Mm. Yeah.
and it
So
came
I
out. Wait, sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
no, please, please.
No, it just came out exactly how I envisioned it. I think a lot of the times, especially for like Peace, and then I named this one JPEG. I
Mhm.
didn't know what it was gonna sound like at the end, so when it ended up sounding good, I was like really surprised. But for the Von Dutch remix, I had like an end goal, and it came out how I wanted it to.
Mm. Is it more common for you to have a goal or to go in like not really sure which direction it's going to go?
I have like a loose goal, but yeah, I don't know where it's always gonna go, and I think it's cool to have that sometimes because I'm like just trying something that I wouldn't normally do, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna keep this in.
Yeah. When you do have a goal like the way that you did with the Von Dutch remix, um, are you usually able to like make it a make it into what your goal was, or is it yeah, like are you able to sort of like use the skills that you have and create the thing that you're envisioning in your head?
Yeah, definitely a lot more than I used to be able to. Cause I think that was like my biggest frustration from like 2020 to like 2023 kind of. Just like I have this thing in mind, but I just don't know how to actually put it in and like how to
Yeah.
do it. But I think now I'm to the point where I can think of something and I can actually put it down and it makes me really happy.
Hmm. Yeah, that's huge. I'm not a I'm not a producer, but I like embroider and crochet
Uh-huh.
and stuff. Yeah, and I've had a similar experience of like learning and gathering skills and then like, oh wow, I
Hmm.
can make the thing I'm imagining. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good feeling. What are there like specific tools or processes or whatever that helped you take it to that next level? Um,
I think just just trying every day helped me get to that
yeah.
level. I mean, getting plugins and stuff definitely helps with like getting the right exact sound, but it's mostly just knowing how to do everything and like learning the program you're working with.
Yeah. Um, cool. So I think that is all of the questions that I had for this interview. But is there something that I didn't ask about that you would like to include?
No, I think that was good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so for this interview, I want to focus more on Buellfest, your experience at Buellfest, and your set. Um, yeah, and I'll tell you from the start, this is the first interview number 2 that I'm doing,
Okay.
so I'm super excited. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, like the transitions will be. Hopefully, it'll all go without a hitch, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So to start out with, I wanted to start out with some, some questions about like just your experience at Buellfest and then we'll get into like your set, how you produced it, like some of those details there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, to start off with, I know that you mentioned in our last interview, and tell me if I'm like misremembering anything too, as
Uh-huh.
we go, because I'm partially building off our last interview.
Yeah.
Um, so I think from our last interview, you said that you had like a friend who introduced you to Buellfest, right,
Hmm.
and sort of recommended that you get involved. So did you know a lot of other people who were like, you know, producers who submitted sets, or like people in the server, or?
Yeah, for sure. I knew not everybody, but I knew a lot more people that were on the first festival than the
Okay.
second one. But I know like Flash Memories, um, probably others. I don't know. I think I know mostly like by how their name looks.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to
for
listen.
sure.
I should definitely listen to more of everyone's stuff. Everyone's stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like, you know, the scene is so big. It's hard
Yeah.
to be. I don't think anyone expects people to know everybody, you know. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. I need to make sure I
Yeah.
know everybody playing at the after party.
Yeah, all like 100 people. Yeah.
Yeah. Still going right now.
Yeah. So you said you felt like you knew more people at the first festival. Which one was
Yeah.
that? Are you talking about like the first Buell
Um,
Fest, or like Camp Boneyard, or
the first Beal Fest. Oh well,
the
Camp Boneyard is different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yes, it is. Yeah. I just didn't know what you just said festival, so I just didn't know like if you were
oh,
talking about
okay.
Buell Fest specifically or other festivals. Yeah.
No, for the first Beal Fest, I knew like Flat Room.
Got
Uh,
it.
yeah, other ones too, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And again, like I don't no expectations for remembering these things. I was just, you know. um and so how much of Buellfest were you tuning into? So I think you were on day 3, it looks like.
hmm
Did you like catch other stuff on other days, or were you like mostly around for day 3? Yeah.
I was there for the day 1 through 3. I kind of didn't have time for the other days,
Mm-hmm.
but there were some sets that were really cool. Like the very first set that was on day 1 was sick. The first set on day 3 was by someone named Careful, and that was really good. I like that one. That one was really nice. That was probably my favorite one from what I saw.
Cool. And I also know that like at this point all of this was like a week plus ago, so and there's anything that you don't remember is totally fine, like
Okay.
no expectations, so
Yeah.
yeah. um okay, and I will check that out because I was there on day 3, but I don't remember Careful Set specifically, but yeah, I'll definitely take a look.
That was pretty
um
freaking fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
what was it like? What were the vibes?
Um, it was a lot of mashups. Like,
Mm,
I really like mashups,
yeah.
and the visuals were really nice. It was like really improvised. Like they were just in the room, just vibing along with the music and just typing stuff on Notepad.
I love that. I think I'm
Yeah.
remembering it now
hmm
as you explain it. Okay. I have so many things I want to ask you about mashups, but I just have a few more questions about Wheelfest and then we'll get
Okay.
into it. Okay, so something that I am like curious about is because everybody, like when I see you on the Twitch chat or whatever, I just see your little name and what you say, right? Like I
Yeah.
have no idea what's going on for you, what you're doing, like any of that, and that's
hmm
something that I'm super curious about. So could you walk me through, like, we'll just say day 3, the day that your set
Okay.
was, like right before, like what time did you, you know, open Twitch and tune in, and like what were you doing at the time? Were you chilling at your desktop? Were you like on your phone? Like what? Yeah, just kind of walk me through like what your day was.
Um, I got for day 3. I went on like 10 minutes before the actual set started, and then from there I watched a few of the sets, and then I had chat open. I was interacting. I was on my desktop, and then after a few I like moved it to the background and was listening to it while like playing games and stuff. And then sometimes
Cool.
like something would sound nice. I'm like, okay, let me check out who this is.
What games were you playing?
Like
And
Fortnite.
again, if you don't remember this, it's cool.
Fortnite.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, you know. um, did you, since we're talking about games,
Hmm.
did you check out the web fishing server at all, or is web fishing something that you're into, or have you
I need
tried
to
it?
buy web fishing. I wanted to buy web fishing, but then now nobody talks about web fishing anymore. So I feel like I'm late to the party.
The moment passed.
Hmm. But I don't know. It's five
Yeah,
bucks. I'll wait for it
yeah,
to go on
yeah,
sale.
yeah, for sure. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Oh, so when your set came on, like how did it feel? You know, what did you think of how were people responding and what did you think of their responses?
Dude, I was like really scared. I felt like I still didn't really know how to make a set. I was like watching some of my friends' sets from other festivals, and I was like, okay, this is kind of how I should try to sound. But then like I was just scared that it wasn't gonna be good. But I liked it, so I didn't really care. But um, yeah, people in the chat were really liking it, and that made me really happy. And I was interacting with them. Yeah, it was really nice.
When you were like whose sets from previous festivals were you looking at?
Amy Real from I don't remember the festival name, but yeah, because we already made similar kind of music.
Mhm. Cool. I actually remember when your set came on. Like I was I don't think I think I reached out to you shortly at like at the end of day 3 maybe.
Yeah,
But I had already seen your name, you know, in the responses and I remember being like, "Oh, what I love this. This sounds so cool." And then I was like, "Oh, it's Laura97. I'm going to interview her."
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's so sick. I get to ask about the set."
yeah. I'm an open book.
Yeah. Cool. So were you surprised by how positive people were?
Oh,
Or like,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
What what were you expecting?
Um, well, I don't know, because I wasn't expecting people to like, I hate this. This is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
But I just like expected it to be like, okay, that was nice. Let's see what this next set
Mhm.
is. Like, just not really
Yeah.
care about it. Especially when there's so many other people making sets. I feel like it's hard to be one that like stands out and be talked about.
Yeah, for sure. Did anybody follow you after that or like reach out? Like was there anything
Yeah, a
like
few
that?
people. Yeah, a few people followed me. No one reached out yet, but yeah, I'm
Mhm.
free. If anyone wants to reach out, collab.
Cool. Okay, so about your set, when did you when did you actually start making it? Like how long ago? Or when did you start doing that?
Um, late August.
Okay.
Yeah, I think late August. I made the Von Dutch remix. That was
Okay.
the
And
first
that
one
was
I made.
the
Yeah.
and you said you were really into that one, right? That's like one of
Oh
your favorite
yeah.
things you've made. Yeah.
Mhm. That was my
Cool.
prime.
And so did you make everything else like with Von Dutch in mind then? Like did you make everything else around that song
um,
or
no,
what
I
was
don't
your
think
process
so.
like, I guess? Yeah.
My process was like I don't know. I remember I got most of the set done at like I was working on the set at like 2 a.m. most of the time because I felt like that's when the craziest stuff happened, and so I was just like I was okay. I was definitely thinking of things that I liked as a kid. I was keeping that same Memory '97 vibe where like
Mm,
oh let's use this Five Nights at Freddy's song because I used to listen to it like a lot as a kid, and then let's just
mm.
mash it up with this other Five Nights at Freddy's song because that would be funny. And then I also wanted to do a mashup with the Stronger Than You Undertale parody. I wanted to do that, but that didn't end up working. Um, yeah, just that. And then also for the final song, I wanted it to sound similar to the final song of Memory '97, the same kind of vibe.
Oh, random unrelated question. Is my
Mhm.
keyboard like distractingly loud. Someone mentioned that. Okay. Let me know if it gets to be too loud because I
Okay.
can try to mute myself while I'm typing.
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you said before that you said earlier that you're like really into mashups. That's something that you like in other people's music. That's something you like in your own music. Yeah. So I do want to spend the bulk of our time talking about this set, but I'm curious a little bit, like, have you been doing mashups ever since you started to produce, or like at what point did you start hearing mashups and being like, this is what I want to do? Yeah, how did you end up where you're at now, I guess, with it?
I didn't start out doing mashups, but I definitely started out using lots of vocal samples and vocal chops and fitting them in with my music. So I think from there, maybe that's where I got the idea. I don't really listen to mashups that much just on my own, but
Yeah.
I know Amy Real started doing mashup songs, so then I tried it out, and it just ended up being really fun to do.
Yeah, and okay, I have a question. I'm trying to decide if now is a good time for that. So I think it's really cool how you and Amy Real hype each other up, like
Yeah.
everywhere, all the time. I think it's awesome. um, are there a lot of people who you like hype each other up like that, or like are you and Amy? I know that you and Amy Real, like, I know that, does she use she her, or what pronouns does Amy Real
They,
use
them.
actually before they them? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So I know that they are one of the people who like helped introduce you to producing, right? So yeah, are there a lot of other people who you have this kind of like, let's hype each other up relationship with, or are you and Amy like, or is this something that like you and Amy sort of like are more, I don't know, do you know what I'm trying to say? I'll just stop there. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I think it's mostly me and Amy. Yeah, for sure. Especially just because we've been doing it together for so long. We've been doing it together, but we still haven't actually collabed on anything. Well,
yeah. Do you have plans for the future, collabing in the future?
Yeah.
Cool.
For sure. I don't want to say too much right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And is Amy Real also part of TWXWKS? I'm not sure how.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
No.
I was trying to like to figure things out. Sometimes, like, you know what I mean. Okay.
I'm gonna have to show them that you said that. They will love that. They're gonna love that.
Okay, so I have a few more questions that are a little more general, and then we can get into specifics about the set. In our last interview, you said that when you were making the set, you were thinking about it kind of like the way you would make an album. Like, you were kind of going from song to song, I think is what you said. Yeah. And so do you think about this set as like, do you think about it as like one cohesive thing, or as like little parts that are all together, or both?
Both, but more separate parts that are put together. So not like a cohesive thing. They're separate songs. Because what I did was I made all the songs separately, and then the last thing I did was transition them all. So they probably don't have the best transitions in the world, but the transition to Von Dutch might be the best transition of all time.
It's a great transition. Yeah. And maybe we can start there. So tell me a little bit more about Von Dutch. Yeah. So last time we talked, I was asking you what you liked about it, and you said that you like how it feels like it's always changing, and that's something that you like in music. And I noticed that when I went back, I did like a deeper listen, and I noticed a lot of like weaving in of different and so I guess I'm just curious to hear more about how you made it. Yeah, just like what you like about it. We can get into the details, just whatever you want to share about it.
Um, how I made it. Well, I
Or whatever
remember.
you think it makes sense to talk about.
No,
Like
I'll
if how
start.
you made it doesn't make sense, then
Yeah. So one day, I don't even know like how I started, but I was just like walking in circles, pacing as I normally do, because I'm a little
Mhm.
freak like that. And in my mind, I'm just thinking of like a drum pattern, and I'm like doing it out loud, and I'm like kind of liking it. And then like in my head, I'm doing it, and then I like sometimes put in vocal chops of Von Dutch just randomly in my head, which was just so weird. I've never done that before. So I'm like, I need to put this down right now. So I went on FL, and that little part where it transitions and then it's just like the little vocals just saying like one word each time. That was originally what I was thinking, and that was the first part I made. So that was really cool. It really was like one of those times where I just like thought of it and then I was able to actually do it. And
Mm.
the thing with it changing all the time, it isn't even like something I tried to do. It was just like I thought this noise would sound good here, so I just put it there. And then in the end, it was just like, oh, this is changing a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I like the transition with the low pass filter going up and up, and then bring
Mhm.
it all back to um, the big drop. I was just like messing around, and I was liking the sound that it made when I was just messing with the low pass filter. It sounded really sick. With the transition into it, the pinball sounds, um, those are from a pinball machine that Mr. Bungled also sampled. So that's how I know about it. Mr. Bungle, my goat. I've always wanted to like try to find a way to like put that in somewhere, and then I was like, this would be a
Mm.
really good time. So yeah, that's about all I would say.
That's cool. I like that you found a way to work the pinball sounds in there.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and I also liked um, how you put. I think you put Bueller's barking in there too, and
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah, I like to imagine him playing the pinball machine.
Yeah. Um, with a lot of there was a few times throughout the set that I really liked how you kind of built it up, and then it was like we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, actually, I realized I haven't asked you this question yet. This is so like a good place to start. But what did you think of your set? What did you think of it after you made it? You submitted it. You know, it played. Everyone loved it. You got all this feedback. Like, how do you
Hmm.
feel now? Like, think what do you think about it?
It might be the best thing ever made ever.
Definitely.
No, it's definitely the best thing I've made for sure. Especially the Von Dutch remix I said was my
Mm-hmm.
favorite. Um, yeah, but it's gotten to that point where I've constantly listened to it. I listen to it. I used to listen to it all the time. Where there's like that now
Yeah.
I'm figuring out what I don't like about it, and it's like
Mm.
okay, but no, I
Yeah.
still think it's amazing. I still love it.
What do you not like about it? And if you don't want to get into it, you don't have to.
um, I feel like maybe some of the transitions are a bit weak.
Mm.
Um, the I feel like I don't know. Part of me thinks that some songs, some remixes are too long, but then it's also like it doesn't really matter. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I hate it that much. But no, I guess I don't hate it at all. No, it's fine. I don't know. I like it still.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's awesome, and then of course it's also very normal for artists to like look back and think about things they would do differently, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it's not good. Like it's a great set. And another thing that I enjoyed about your set was the track titles. They're so fun.
No, that's definitely me being up at 3 a.m. just thinking of song titles. All of them.
Yeah, well, I think they're super funny, and I wanted to ask about them, and I was trying to figure out a way to ask, and I'm not even sure what my question is, but like, okay, so to me, and so this is, I'll tell you what I think, and then you can tell me the
Okay.
ways that I'm wrong or if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But to me, it feels very like Twitter, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Do you
No,
agree?
no, it definitely is. I'm like totally Twitter brain rotted. So anything that comes out of my mouth is just things that I heard on Twitter. I'm just like a bunch of recycled tweets.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like its own language. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It makes sense in its context, right?
A lot of the titles actually are like kind of based off other things. Same with like Memory
Mm,
97. They're based off other
yeah,
things. I'm trying to remember them. I know the last one, the McDonald's just came up with an oomph burger. Let's check it
yeah,
out. Um,
yeah.
Amy Real has a song from like 2021 called
Mm.
Sans Pikachu just dropped a new LP. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I was like,
um, what else is there? Making music in FL Studio with my Neuralink. That's not based off anything. That was just me being brain rotted at 3 a.m.
I love it.
Um, the woke mob is trying to make genders all summer. That was just like if I was typing a headline for an article about it, like about the brat summer.
Yeah,
Um, Life's Hard. Here's an Amy Real mashup. That's a JPEG Mafia song title. Life's Hard. Here's a song about So Real. Yeah.
cool. And so, do you expect the people who hear your set to recognize the references?
No. Well, not all of them. Maybe some of them, but there's definitely some like niche ones. Like I shot myself in the foot with this remix, which I'm not gonna get into. That's for people to figure out. Um, but no, I think it'd be cool. Like my hope one day is that someone recognizes these and then like DMs me like, "Hey, I get this reference." Like there is a song title of Memory 97 that's like extended on Bandcamp, which is like I might have mentioned this in the first one, but it says if you don't know the difference between your and you are, or there and there, then I don't think we can get along. And then it's like if you get this reference, please DM Sans Pikachu. Um, no, but yeah, that's my hope
Mhm.
to do
Has
these
that
really
ever,
niche ones.
yeah, has that ever happened? Like, has anyone ever DM'd you, like, oh my goodness, I get
No,
this?
but I'm holding out hope.
Yeah.
No, it's like
Yeah.
a line that someone said in like a video I've watched 10,000 times. It's like I don't expect anyone to get it, but if it happened, that would be really awesome.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, hmm. Oh, okay. I feel like I have a question there. Let me see if I can figure out what it is. Hmm. It's cool to hear the ways that you incorporate other media that has been meaningful to you into your work. Um, yeah, and that's something that has come up like over and over as we've been talking. And I think there's something there that I want to ask about, and I'm just like not sure what my question is. Hmm. Would you say that like shared interest in media is a way that you connect with people often?
Oh yeah, for sure. I really like expressing like the media that I enjoy and I like finding other people that like that media. And I feel like there's a lot of media that I like that not a lot of other people in the sphere that I'm usually in like too. And so I want to kind of like push that out there to them. Yeah.
Have people like have people gotten into stuff because of you before?
Um Yeah, dude, yeah. There was like a month-long span where I put like everybody I talked to on Mr. Bungle.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning actually, yeah, because in our last call, you were like, "Listen to Mr. Bungle," and then
Yeah.
in the Woke Minds interview, you were also like, "Listen to Mr. Bungle."
You guys all must listen to Mr. Bungle.
Mhm. So I want to ask a few more questions about your set specifically, but I think like okay, this might be a question that you don't have an answer to, and if that's the case, it's fine. But I'm curious, like, what what parts of your set do you think are most important to you? Like, what should I be what should I be asking about? And if you don't have an answer, I have questions. But like, yeah, I just know that that's a different thing for different people. So
Um, I don't have anything. It was just like,
yeah,
just have fun with it. Maybe
yeah,
like, no, if anything, just try to like dissect the media that I'm referencing in it. But that's about it.
yeah. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to actually maybe I'll start with the Meowstruck dies and doesn't come
Hmm.
back, but we all get over it really fast. So
That's a really good title.
it is a really good title. um so I actually like grew so tell me about the different things that you were sampling and mixing for that song. I recognize the He Is We song, right?
Oh yeah.
I think that's yeah. And
Hmm.
so tell me like okay, wait. So what I'm curious about is with these so what are the different pieces that you put together for this song and then like uh how did you choose those pieces, I guess?
Um, so I thought about using the He Is We sample because, well, I only know about the song because when I was a kid, there's like this video called like saddest video ever, 99% will cry. And then I use that as the visual for the set. Like that's the video where I found the song. And
Mhm.
so just because it was something that I knew when I was a kid, I put it in there.
Yeah.
Um, for the for like the guitar sample, it's from like an anime intro, and I've never actually watched the anime, but what I would do is I would go on YouTube and like find these playlists like that were like 500 videos long of like anime intros, and I would shuffle it, and then I'll try to find one that like gives me the same vibe as the song. So like the guitar strumming, I feel like kind of was reminiscent of the original He Is We song.
Mm. And like so how did you come up with the idea to use the um what did you say the YouTube video was called? Like saddest video you'll ever see, 100% will cry, or
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
like so that's something you saw when a long time ago, right? So
Hmm.
how did you decide to bring that back? Like did it just come to your mind? Do you have like I don't know, like a file somewhere with a bunch of things that you know, like want to use in the future and you just
Ooh, I
saw
should do.
it or
That might be something I do. No, I think it just randomly popped in my mind. Like, oh, I remember this video, and I think it would be
Mhm.
funny if I use it because there's probably other people that have seen that video too.
Yeah, for sure. I really I enjoyed that one. I think I have seen that video. I recognize the song just because like I just heard it somewhere like on the
Yeah.
ether, you know?
Yeah.
um yeah. And then oh, um how did you choose the fonts for the different songs? Were you just like trying to
Oh, yeah.
find something that you felt like was the right vibe or
Yeah, just something that was the right vibe for sure. Um, Most of the time, yeah, because I felt like with the Amy Real mashup,
Mhm.
I felt like the lyrics were like just silly and fun. So let me just do like Comic Sans, and
Yeah.
then I wanted the one for the Meow Struck one. to have like a comic book writing kind of font, even though it just kind of looks like Comic Sans again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the I shot myself in the foot song is I only used it because it's like the same one that Brockhampton used for the Saturation albums. And then yeah, other than that, it was just mostly just trying to match the song with the vibe.
Cool. So okay. So I'm going to reveal that I am a boomer now, if that wasn't already obvious. And I want to hear about your first song, 97 Nights at Laura's, but I have to tell you, I haven't played Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm actually like, I know it's a whole thing, you know, like
Mhm,
but I don't actually know that much about it. I was trying to
mhm.
speed run some lore YouTube videos this morning, and I just
Game
like
theory,
didn't
game
quite
theory,
get
game
there. Yeah.
theory.
Yeah, I started this like 8-hour video and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to finish this.
What did we miss? Red arrow, circle.
But yeah, so I know like, so I guess, okay, maybe here's my question is like, what does Five Nights at Freddy's, like, what does it mean to you personally? And like, maybe, yeah, how did you get into it? And is this a shared interest that you have with like a lot of people? I know that I've seen Amy Reel reference like
Mhm.
Five Nights at Freddy's too. So yeah, I'm just curious maybe about, yeah,
Um,
that.
it
Mm-hmm.
was that it was like something that I was really into as like a kid, and like a lot of my other friends were into it also. And I just like remember I got into it because of like Markiplier playing it, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, I used to watch like a lot of game theory videos. But it's gotten to that point where like I don't really care. I don't not care about it. Like I still like keep up with it, not as much as I used to. But it's just like an ironic love for it now. Like I
Yeah.
don't actually like it, but it's like funny to like it. So
Yeah.
it's just funny to use it for like music and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I didn't play the last like DLC or game that came out, but it'd be like that.
For sure. And what what made you decide to make that your first song? Like what were you trying to go for? You know, like what
Um, I don't know. It's just like the same thing with Memory 97. It's just like it felt right. Like it just felt right to put this as the
Yeah.
first track, and
Yeah.
then put that as the last track. Like I don't know. It's just I don't really have like a reason for it. Like
Yeah, for
on
sure.
Memory 97, Amy Real dies. For some reason, I made it, and I'm like, this sounds like a song that is perfect for the second to last song on the album. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And like I don't expect you to have a reason behind everything too, you know. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's just your artistic intuition and you're
Yeah,
just like put this here, put this here. Yeah.
the voice in my head.
Yeah.
The voices.
I I think I like it as the first song because I feel like it like grabs your attention, and because it's such a recognizable IP, it's like
Yeah.
we're here, you know.
hmm Maybe it's also
Yeah.
the flashing lights that grab your attention.
Yes. Yeah. And so I actually, maybe this is a question too. So like how did you decide like when to put the strobe? Because there was a few times where I noticed like the song was building and then it was like we're getting
Mhm.
into it, here's the strobe.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. No, it was just like whenever I felt like it was needed. I didn't use it a
Yeah.
lot, but
Mhm.
I definitely like just when it was needed for sure. When I felt like
Yeah,
it was time to hospitalize some people.
definitely. So tell me about the Amy Reel mashup.
Oh, um, so
Unless there's another song you'd rather focus on, if
no,
you know.
I don't
Yeah.
mind. So I asked Amy for those stems. I feel like so long before I actually made the song, but they never got back to me. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to like do this because it was like getting close to October. It might have been like towards the end of September. and then they finally sent it to me, and I was like, okay. And originally I just wanted to do like a remix, just like the Neuralink song. I just wanted to do like a completely original remix,
Mm-hmm.
but then I just had no ideas. I just couldn't. And then I was looking through, and 2 weeks is like a band, right? And one of the members ended up sending me some of the stems because I used to have like a stem player, and they were like, "Hey, you can try this." I'm like, "Okay." And then I went back, and then I realized that it ended up being the same BPM as the Amy Real song. So I'm like, I have to throw this on. It'd be too funny, especially
Nice.
because being in the sphere. Well, 2 weeks is like it's a band made from the Brockhampton Discord, and so it's like an ironic band, and I like them. They're all right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. They're fun. They're fun to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And that is so the people who are in that band, are they
Mhm.
like also people who you kind of came up with as a producer? Because I know that you sort of started out in the Brockhampton Discord, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I came up with them a little bit. Not really. We're just like we're definitely like friends and stuff. But I
Yeah. Yeah.
wouldn't say like I came up with them.
Okay. Cool. I have I think those are all of my like specific to the set questions. But again, like I said, this is this is the first interview too that I'm doing. So is there anything that I didn't ask about with regards to like your set that you want to talk about, or yeah, like another direction to take it?
Um, no, I don't think so. I mean that. Oh, I guess I can talk about that last song a bit because
Oh yeah.
um the sample is like I don't know what it is because one of my friends sent me two YouTube things. They were like, "You should sample this," and then I
Mm.
listened to one of them, which is the one I ended up sampling, and it's not like the actual original song. It was just a clip from someone else's like little set, and apparently like nobody knows the name of the actual sample, and so I
Mm.
had to like get the sample before the actual like drum started because the intro was just the sample. So I took that, and it took me like an hour to actually get it on time. It was super. It was really chopped.
Mm.
But no, I just wanted to say how good of a producer I was by getting that in time.
Oh, that's cool. Would it be like I'd be curious to hear the set you pulled it from. Do you happen to remember?
I could find it for sure after
Okay,
the interview.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
No pressure if it's hard to find, but if not, I'd love to take a look.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, the visuals, they yeah, they just took a long time. I was like contemplating just like just stop doing it because the strobe effects just took so long. Like every time it was white text, every frame it was the strobe. I had to make it black text. I almost
Yeah.
cracked out.
I was pretty impressed. I actually really liked your visuals. I thought there was a lot of like the fact that you had the lyrics on the whole time added
Mhm.
cohesion, but then there was
Yeah.
also like enough differentiation too, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I liked how you kind of weaved it with the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done visuals like that before?
No. No, not really.
Cool. What did you use to make them?
DaVinci Resolve.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I know that like this is back to question about Buellfest that I think I like forgot to ask originally. So I know this is the first URL fest that you've been in, and I know that like you mentioned in our last interview that um, it was that it's like you didn't say exactly this, but I think you kind of said that it's like kind of different from the other production spaces that you're in.
Mm.
I wanted to just ask like in what ways, or yeah, just curious more about that.
Um, it was more like different than what I've made like before.
I see.
So, um, I made hexed music, which I don't really know what it is, but it is that. But it's like I put a lot of bit crusher on the master, and that's how you
Yeah.
got that like sound effect on Memory 97 where everything sounds kind of like lo-fi. And I just kind of like grew out of that. I just didn't like it that much anymore, so I stopped using it. And then it was like I don't know, I just like how it sounds better. So I think I made different stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that answers the question. Cool. And then I had one more question that's like kind of not related to anything else. But I was just listening to your stuff and I was curious in the song if you don't know the difference between the your and your. Oh no, wait, actually, you might have answered this already and said that you are. Well, basically, I was curious about the song and or like what it was that you were sampling. I'm trying to. I'm waiting for an ad to pass right now on SoundCloud so I can listen to it.
Oh my
But
lord.
yeah, if that's the one that you were like, oh no, you said you weren't gonna say what the reference was. I don't think you said you weren't gonna say what the sample was. But if you don't want to share, you don't have to. But I really liked whatever the sound was, and I wanted to ask about it.
Um, it comes from an anime called Bokurano, which I've personally never watched, but it was just one of those things where it's just shuffled in the playlist.
Yeah.
I actually don't know that off the top of my head. For the CD, I had the insert have all the samples on it, so I just pulled
Okay.
up that
Nice.
picture and I looked at it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Boko Rano. That's a starting point. I can just like look at that.
Yeah, the song is
Yeah.
called Uninstall.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Should just be the
Cool.
opening theme.
Thanks. Yeah. Are you like do you watch much anime or is it more like you just kind of like the sounds of the intro songs?
I do watch quite a bit of anime, like Ava, Serial
Mm-hmm.
Experiments Lane. Um, uh, yeah, I say as I list off the most basic animes of all time.
I mean,
But
that still counts.
I know JPEG Mafia uses a lot of anime samples, and I really like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all my questions. Yeah. Anything else before, like
no,
okay. Great. Well, I will stop the recording then.